Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be making a video on a topic that I've wanted to touch on for a while now. And this video is specifically for men. Now, if you haven't seen my other videos and you are unaware, I was born female and I took transgender hormone therapy. And I very much looked and sounded like a man. I still sound like a man. And, while I was undergoing this phase of my life, people treated me like a man. People really did see me as a man. And I had many conversations with guys that I would not have had they perceived me as a woman. And so that's why I think my opinion on this topic is really important. I've had a little more insight than the average woman on men's intimate life and the kinds of things they talk about when girls aren't around. I've had just a little more insight and I have a little more understanding. And so that's why I will be talking about what makes women not like you. So the thing number one has to do with the ego. If you are showing up with your guns and bragging about this and that and how you're so good at this and you're so great at that, that is one of the biggest turnoffs, frankly. Like those men who have testicles hanging off the back of their truck. For me, that's like a red flag of like, stay clear from that guy. Women do not like when you boast your ego because it shows that underneath that ego is a very insecure, pained man. An ego is only hiding what's really going on. And an ego is not real confidence. Women like men who have real confidence. Men who are strong-willed. Men who will stand up for things, even when everyone else is against them. We like a man who's not afraid to go out of his comfort zone. And women do like chivalrous men. Now, there's a lot of feminist issues with like holding the door and treating a girl like she's helpless. But I think there's a fine balance with it. Of don't treat women as if they can't do things themselves. Simple tasks. But most of us do appreciate when you do some small, like, kind gesture. And I appreciate when women hold the door for me too. Like, it doesn't just have to be men. I appreciate when people are respectful. And if you're going around boasting about your ego and being heavily prideful in an arrogant, narcissistic way, that is not being respectful. Respect comes from honoring a woman, knowing that she is worth a lot, treating her like she's this beautiful, amazing thing. When you want her to chase you and you want her to want you, that's really unattractive for me. And I would say most women. I don't want to chase a man. I do not want to have to make the first move. And, some women like making the first move, but I would say most of us don't. And I have no shame in that. I feel that women are more attractive, meaning we attract things to us, and men are more assertive, meaning they take more action, generally speaking. And another thing I really don't like, and I would say most girls don't like, is when a guy takes no action. The let me just sit in the back of the corner of the room and do nothing. It's good to have a little bit of mystery. It's good to be a little mysterious. But it's not good to do absolutely nothing. Girls aren't going to notice you. And if they do, you're just like, we don't know you. And so if there's too much mystery, I don't want to tread there. I like a little bit of mystery. Enough to keep me wondering. Enough to keep me, interested. Like, I don't want a guy to just be blabbering his mouth 24/7. There is a lot of balance that is needed when you are attracting a woman to you. You shouldn't be too assertive, pushing on her. But at the same time, you have to take action or nothing's going to happen. And I think women do need to take action too. But I'm just speaking from personal experience. If a man doesn't take action towards me, if he doesn't make any effort towards having a relationship with me or communicating with me, I have no interest. I like when a man shows me that he's a man. A kind, genuine, beautiful man. And I've been the man in too many relationships where I'm paying for his stuff. I'm driving him around. And I don't want to be the man in the relationship. I'm the one with the uterus. I'm the one with the ability to conceive a child. I do want to be treated like a woman. And if a man wants me to do everything for him, if he wants me to be his mom, that is unattractive. You see, I don't want to do things for a man who's expecting me to do those things. I want to do things for a man who is doing things for me, and I want to add to the pot being the relationship. You both need to keep that relationship floating. And if you're sitting back doing absolutely nothing, that is one of the most unattractive things. Assertiveness is attractive, but arrogance is not. And I feel like if there's just one thing I could tell guys, it'd be that. I like when a guy can open up to me, and he can be sweet and vulnerable. And seeing a guy cry is not unattractive to me. I want you to have emotions, to feel, to be a human. I don't want you to be a robot. And so there is this kind of ego placed with being a man where you need to be this and that, and you need to act like this. And there's a lot of societal norms that women don't really care about. Like, if a man is going out with guns and hunting, and he's looking all manly, I'm a vegan. I definitely don't find that attractive. But society would probably find that to normally be an attractive thing in a man. And so that's another thing is, all girls are different. All of us have our own unique things that we care about and unique traits to us. And so if you really want a woman in your life, you really want to impress her, you got to get to know her. You need to understand, what does she care about? What does she like? You have to listen. You have to pay attention. Because having a healthy relationship requires deep communication, where you're both listening to each other. You're both communicating with each other. And you need to make her feel like she can communicate with you. You need to make her feel like she's safe. If I don't feel like I'm safe to communicate, then the relationship's just going to blow up in flames. Another thing I want to talk about is society seems to think that men are horny pigs, and that if a woman sleeps around, it's because there's something wrong with her. But every girl I have ever known has a high sex drive. Women like intimacy just as much as men. The testosterone makes men's urge for it stronger because testosterone is the thing that makes us both having that desire rising within us. But women love intimacy. And I think there's some cultures out there that don't acknowledge this, that think women don't like sex. And that's not true. Women crave it just as much as men, but in a different way. We crave it differently, but we crave it the same at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain. When I had testosterone levels of that of a man's, yeah, I experienced what a man's sex drive does to the body. Having all that testosterone is a whole nother thing. And so that's why I say women's need isn't as strong, but the urge is just as strong. They're desiring it just as much, just they're not as desperate for it. And that leads me into another thing that I think is important to say. A woman who cares about you, who actually wants a solid relationship, she doesn't want you to just tease her and seduce her. She wants to know that you're actually going to show up. You got to show up. Get to know her before things get heated. And that is something that is very important when looking for a solid, long-term committed relationship. Is you need to act like that's what you want. If you're just here for a good time, then I don't want it. And women who want a man that's serious, women who want a serious, long-lasting relationship, they're not just going to give in to your teasing and be like, yes, you can just have me right here and now. No. Women who want a serious relationship are going to be like, no. You need to respect me. And it took me a long time to learn that. That I don't want a man to just come here for a good time. I want a man to come here for a long time. I want a husband, not a boyfriend. I want a father to my children, not a deadbeat dad. And so think about how you can show her that you could provide for her, that you can make her feel safe. Because a lot of guys out there, they want to have kids, they want to have a family. Put yourself in her perspective. What would you need if you were a pregnant woman? How would you want to be treated? Having someone's child. It's really important to think about her needs. Because having a child is a big deal. It's not a small ask. And if you want a child, if you want your own flesh and blood baby, you need to know how to respect women. And you need to think about their perspective. That is number one advice right there. Think about her perspective. Think about her needs. And one last thing before I go, you need to have your own boundaries. A man who has no boundaries is also not going to respect my boundaries. It's important to have your own boundaries and to respect a woman's boundaries. Now, I hope this video helped. And again, I'm speaking from a more inclusive perspective.